Is it just me, or does something feel really off about this week's meeting between the Australian Prime Minister and his Solomon Islands counterpart? You read some headlines and it feels like we should be celebrating the good news. No China bases ever, Manasseh Sogavare says. That's a good thing, right? As we know, the threat of China is a very real thing. And the thought of a military base right on our doorstep, it's terrifying. So any assurances from their leader that this won't be happening are welcome, right? Well, of course. But I just feel uncomfortable with how it's all played out. And I guess I'm also sceptical as to whether or not we can trust a government that seems to be at the mercy of the highest bidder, led by a man who has, on multiple occasions, had significant digs at us on the world stage, despite many, many years of very generous support. After labelling Australia's offer to help fund the country's national election foreign interference and an assault on our parliamentary democracy, Sogavare has now accepted it. Curious for someone so passionate about democracy, given it's widely accepted he used Chinese money to bribe fellow parliamentarians to keep his hold on power. Hardly governing in the best interest of his people, is he? He told Anthony Albanese the key to long-term peace and security in the Solomon Islands was the building of more roads, bridges, marketplaces, the list goes on. In pushing for a bigger partnership agreement, the head of state says if all of that is sorted with the help of development partners, then the rest will take care of itself. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that this kind of thing isn't occasionally a key part of our diplomatic suite of, well, sweeteners. I also agree with our PM, who says we here in Australia want to improve the living standards and quality of life of people in the Pacific, and it's in our interest to do so. Not just from a national security perspective, but as good, decent global citizens who have a moral conscience and compass. And we should always strive to have good, solid relationships with as many foreign powers as possible. But I can't help but feel like we've been played here. Sogavare has done a security deal with China, whose government we know we can't trust. There's no doubt at all, money exchanged hands. And I'm confident not a cent of it found its way into local schools or hospitals either. And now we are being told all will be well in the world if we just give more money. Now, I'm not saying that the Australian government had any choice here, nor am I silly enough to think that we haven't had to do this kind of thing before in other parts of the world. Is it worth taking the moral high ground and watching China build bases 2,000 odd kilometres away? Of course not. But I can't help feeling off about the whole thing. What price are we willing to pay as a country for doing things our way, the Australian way? Deals and diplomacy based on decency, shared values, a bit of mutual respect maybe. Maybe I'm dreaming. Or maybe, just maybe, some things are worth standing our ground for. Otherwise, really, what are we fighting for?